Hi, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hi, my name is Karen. My name is Karen Moen, and we're here for the Dynamics 365 Partner Community Call for January. So Happy New Year to everybody. This call will be recorded, and we will post this by the end of the week. Wanted to let you know that there's only 2 of us today, so we're a little short-handed, so that we will not be answering questions during the call. But please feel free to post any questions that you have, and we will answer them and post to our Yammer group all of the answers to your questions. So today we're going to talk about using Power BI with Dynamics 365, and wanted to start out with a bit of an overview about what Power BI is. So really, I'm going to build out this slide. Power BI is a cloud-based analytics service, and it will enable you to visualize and analyze data with great speed and efficiency. As you can see from the screen here in this slide, you can connect to almost any kind of data. That data could be in the Microsoft Cloud, non-Microsoft Cloud, or even on-premise data. So it allows you to connect to data and visualize that in Power BI. With Power BI, the launch that happened about 1.5 years ago, we've had tons of folks in the community using the technology. So you can see the countries and organizations and subscribers. So we've made great progress with the community helping us add capabilities and functionality. So what is it? You can get live dashboards and reports within Power BI, providing like a 360-degree view of your business, track real-time data, drill into reports. So really one place to go for all of your data and KPIs. One thing I wanted to point out is we do have native mobile apps for iPad, iPhone, Android, and Windows. So across all platforms, you can receive updates if a data changes and share and collaborate very easily. One other great thing is there's lots of templates and things. Part of what we're going to show you today is the content pack and a solution template for Dynamics 365. But we also have this for other technologies, as you can see from the slide. So lots of ways to get started very quickly. So what we're going to do today is 3 things, 3 demos. We're going to show you how to use the Dynamics Content Pack and customize it. And then we're going to show you how to use the Dynamics 365 solution template and customize that. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is hand off to Barb Barrowman, who's going to take us through demos 1 and 2.
All right, thank you, Karen. Just a quick voice check. If you could let me know if I sound okay, and then I'm going to present my desktop. So let me know when you can see that. That would be wonderful.
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
All right, and is my desktop showing?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, well, this is kind of where we wanted to get started. The first demo is just how to get the Dynamics 365 Content Pack into Power BI. And you can see here I'm just at the Power BI, and I just get here by, just typing in PowerBI.com, and will come up here. Just for your reference, this is going to be where we're going to refer you back to for a lot of the resources in the end. If we look under Learn, the guided learning, really good opportunities for you to learn about the topics that we're presenting today. I use this when I was starting to use Power BI, and they have a lot of really short videos for you on how to get your data, how to work with the visualizations. So really good, and that's in the guided learning. When we look at products, I'm going to show you some Power BI Desktop and how to work with that solution. And so this is where you would actually go to download the desktop. And then also in the solutions, the solution template that Karen's going to talk about, that's also where you would be finding this. So once you're to this site, you're just going to click on Sign In, and I have actually already signed in, so let me zip over here to, this is the actual Power BI web client, which is the first place we're going to start. You can see I've actually already downloaded and grabbed the Dynamics 365 Content Pack for Sales Manager. But I'm going to walk you through how to do that also. But you can see here on this dashboard that we have lots of different tiles with information that we think would be pertinent, hopefully, to you guys. I'm just going to scroll through some of this information for you. Lots of different dashboards that are available. But let me walk you through how to actually get your data. So you can see this nice big yellow button here down in the bottom that we're going to click on to get our data. And we're going to go to this services button. For this is all the online services. And as Karen had mentioned, we have a lot of content packs that are already made for a lot of the online services. So the best part about Power BI is really grabbing information from other areas that you can pull in and then also mash up with the Dynamics 365 data that you have. So just kind of going through and showing you all of those that are available. The one that we're going to get, as I mentioned before, is the Dynamics CRM Online Sales Manager. We also have one for Service Manager, so you just click Get Now. And it's loading up here. The first thing it's going to ask us for is the Dynamics CRM Online URL. So we'll zip over into, this is actually my Dynamics instance, and you can see up at the top here, we would just be able to grab our information here. You can cut and paste that, and that's what we're going to just have to throw in right here. The other information you need to add is what is the fiscal year end, the last month of your fiscal year, and ours ends in December for this demo client, so we would enter in 12. You'd click on Next, and the last step that you have that I'm not able to show you is you're going to authenticate one more time. And you want to authenticate using OAuth 2 authentication, and you're going to use your Dynamics 365 credentials. But it takes a little bit longer to connect up, so for demo purposes, we already got everything pulled in for us. So, and then as soon as you do that, it'll take a little bit to refresh and pull all of this data in, but then as soon as that happens, then all of this data will be pulled in from your Dynamics 365 instance. The other thing, all of these are tiles, and these dashboard tiles are what you can actually put into your Dynamics 365 dashboard. So I'll show that in a second. But if we click on any one of these tiles, then it's going to drill us down into the report. So you can see now I'm actually on the Dynamics report section. And each one of these little tiles in the reports are interactive. So if I were to click on, let's say I'm going to click on the entertainment retail, this now is only information about the entertainment retail industry. So here's my accounts that are in the entertainment retail industry, and here are the new accounts that we have. We click on doctor's office and clinics, kind of the same thing, where they're located, which account and how much revenue did they bring in. So all of these are interrelated. Alrighty. So I had mentioned that only these dashboard tiles is what can be brought into Dynamics 365. So let's take a look at that and how we would accomplish that. So let's go back over into my Dynamics session again. And we're in our dashboards. And so I'm going to start a new dashboard to show you how you can pull all that information in. So as this is loading up here, hopefully this looks familiar and you guys have played with the dashboards in here. But what we want to do is we want to actually want to add in a Power BI tile. So as we mouse over all these options, you can see what they are. And this is where we would enter a Power BI tile into our dashboard. If you do not see this option, let me walk you through how to set that up quick. So we're going to go over into Settings. Then we're going to click on Administration. Then we go into System Settings. And lastly, we're going to click on Reporting. And you can see down here that this is where you would turn it on. So we already have it turned on in our system, so we have clicked Yes here. If you're not seeing that, you need to come into here. It's probably clicked on No, click on Yes, and then you will have that that capability. So let's go over here to our dashboards again. I'm going to click on New again, and we're going to start up a new dashboard, and then I'm going to attach a couple of the tiles that we saw. All right, let's call this Community Demo. All right, so once we click on this, we're going to be asked which Power BI dashboard that we want to pull from. We only have the one right now. We're going to create another one, and I'll show you how to bring those in too. But now we have all those different tiles that we saw over in Power BI are now available for us to put into Dynamics 365. So if we grab, let's say, sales leaders by revenue, and then the nice thing is it'll bring up a preview. So if you don't remember what it looked like, and we can see it'll pull it up here, and if this is the one you want, you can just click on Yes. I'll grab another one real quick. We'll do our top accounts by revenue, and we're going to pull that in. We're going to save this up, close it out. Go back into our dashboards. If you haven't created a new dashboard before, you'll see that it's going to be created for us down here under My Dashboards. And you can see here are the two different tiles that we pulled over from the content pack that we just pulled down from Power BI. So that's kind of our first demo. So the next thing we're going to do is how to kind of manipulate this data with the Power BI desktop. And so remember I told you to, at that main Power BI website that we have, that's where we're going to download the actual Power BI desktop application. You're going to log in again, attach it to your Dynamics 365 credentials. And now I'm going to show you how to get your data again for this instance. So we just clicked on Home, Get Data, and you can see we have lots of different sources that you can pull in from. Again, really making the use of Power BI and pulling in from other sources. We're gonna, I'm gonna walk you through a little bit on how to connect to your Dynamics 365 organization. So now we need our OData service. So let me walk back over to Dynamics again and show you where to find that. So we're gonna go once again into Settings. Then we're gonna go into Customizations. And last, we're going to go into Developer Resources. And this is going to be where we're going to find our URL that we need, which is going to be right here. So we can just simply cut and paste. we can put that in there. We're going to click on OK for your next step. I've already, again, for the sake of demo, have already connected up because it takes a couple of minutes to do that. So I'm going to cancel out. And you can see over here, this is where my files are that I've pulled in, and I had pulled in the accounts and the opportunities for my Dynamics 365 session. So I'm going to get in one more set of data for us, and I'm going to pull in an Excel worksheet. And this is going to have sample what I would call ERP data to just kind of show how you would mesh this up with an ERP system. So I've got the list of all of my customers, and then I put in some year-to-date revenue for them. The other thing I do want to point out is this navigator screen. So when you're pulling in and first connecting to your Dynamics 365 instance, you're going to have all the different entities that you can choose from here. So it's going to be a very long list, and you can pick and choose what you want to pull in. And like I mentioned, I pulled in accounts and opportunities for that. So once you've selected that, you're going to click on Load. And it's going to pull in that data from that sheet. The Dynamics 365, that first time it loads, it's a little bit more data, so that's going to take it a little bit longer too. All right, so now we have sheet 1. I'm going to go ahead and rename that so it's a little easier for us to work with. All right. Okay, so the last step we have to do to kind of manipulate our data here is to work on our relationships. So I'm going to click on Home again, and I'm going to go on to Manage Relationships. And you can see here that with the Dynamics 365, when I brought my data in, it was smart enough, and it brought in the relationships already, and it's mapped my opportunities to my accounts. But I'm going to do a new one. I'm going to grab my ERP data, and I want to take the column that's called Accounts. And then I want to map that to the account name that is going to be in my ERP data, which is right there. All right, so we're going to click on OK, and that's mapped that out. If we click over here on this little button here, that's going to show our relationship, so you can kind of see that this was already built in for us between the accounts and opportunities, but we now have the relationship between accounts and our ERP data. All right, so that was our final step, so now we can kind of start and work on some reports. So if we click up here, this is going to be creating a report, so we're going to be building it on this canvas. As I mentioned over here, we have the data that we're going to be working with. And then lastly, we have our visuals. So if you mouse over any of these, you can see these are different charts, scatter graphs, slicers, different ways to manipulate our data. So in this situation, I thought it'd be kind of fun as the year-to-date revenue that I'm bringing in for each state. So I click on my bar chart here, and then that brings over my bar chart. And then you can see now I have the way information here to fill out, to put into, that will fill out my bar chart. All right, so under the axis, I'm going to grab my year-to-date revenue and put that in. So you just drag and drop and pull that over. And then I'm going to pull in my city and state. Now I could pull in my city and state from my accounts, but it's a huge field of data, and sometimes it's a little hard for me to scroll through that. So I'm just going to grab my city and state, and I did that wrong. I actually want my year-to-date revenue is my value, and my city and state is across my axis. That's what I wanted to do. So now I've got information that I can see that as I mouse over it, and I don't want it to be count, I want it to be sum. So you can see right now the way it did it is it told me how many actual deals were brought in, but I don't want that. I want to see the sum of my revenue. That's the information that I want. So you can see each one of these states and how much revenue that I'm bringing into each one of them. All right, so that's what I wanted my data to look like. Now I wanted to show you guys a little bit from a formatting perspective. So this is our fields, and now if we look at this little roller paint bar, if we click on that, that's how to format. One of the things that you could do is you could change the color of the bar chart. And you could actually make each one of the states to be a different color if you so desired. We'll just keep it at that color. And what else do I want to change? I'm going to change my title. Sum of year-to-date revenue by address is a little bit long-winded, so we're just going to say year-to-date revenue by state. That's a little clearer for us to understand. We could change the font color. I can center it, and then I can make it a little bigger so it's easier to see. So that is exactly what I want my little graph to look like, which is looks really good. Okay, so the next thing I was thinking is if I'm as a salesperson, if I'm looking at this information and I can see I've got a lot of revenue out of Washington, but there's these 3 states here that I don't have a lot of revenue. So it'd be really cool if I could see my open opportunities by those states so that I could ensure I have this pipeline that I needed for making sure that I bring in the revenue that I need by the end of the year. So I want to bring in my open opportunities. A little caveat here is you can see right now I have this one selected. If I were to click on any one of these charts, it will change it over to that new chart. So if you're going to add a new one, then you just want to make sure that you don't have anything selected on there. And we're going to grab this table here. So some of these things I get to learn from experience and teach you guys. Okay, so again, we have our values that we can put in this table. And as I mentioned, I want to pull in my opportunities. So, and where did they go to? Here it is. Okay, so if I click on just name here, that'll pull it into the values field. So here's now all of my open opportunities that I have for my customers, which is good information. I can see what they are, but I need more. So let's grab, and I'll do this the long way and show you guys how we're pulling from the different sources. I'm going to grab the name from the account name here. So there we go. So now I have my account name pulled in, which gives me a little bit more information. So now I know which account this is for. But the last bit of information that I probably make it more helpful is back in opportunities, let's grab the estimated revenue for each one of these opportunities so that I can see how much each state is bringing in. Okay, perfect. So now I've got my the type of opportunity, the description of my opportunity, I've got the account name, and then I can see the value. So we can do a little bit of formatting with this too. So once I click on my format button, I can do a title again. And we'll call this Open Opportunities. And let's center and make it a little bigger again so we can read it. And what else do I want to change on here? The one thing I did learn is that you cannot change the name of these columns up here. So if we wanted to change that, you're going to change that over here. So this name is kind of confusing. So let's go back over to here and then just right click or rename that, and we'll say opportunity description. Make it a little clearer of what this is. And the other thing I can change is I actually want the account name to go first, so I can just move that up to the top, and that'll switch the where everything is at. Okay, so that looks pretty good for me right now. And remember how everything is now interactive. So when I click on Georgia, I can see that, oh my goodness, I don't have any open opportunities for Georgia or Florida. But California, I have a couple of opportunities that are open for me. I have $50,000 worth of open opportunities. So this would be great for me as a sales rep to say, you know, even in Colorado, I don't have any open opportunities. So these are states that I need to focus on and get some new opportunities in there to do build that up. Now the last thing, and another thing is once you've clicked on one of these states to do a drill down, you just click inside that chart anywhere and it'll bring everything back for you. So the other thing I thought would be cool is maybe I would want to know how much revenue is coming in each one of these states and which accounts are accounting for all of that revenue. So what we could do is we could just, again, make sure you're clicked and don't have anything highlighted. We could pull in, let's just go into accounts here. I don't want to do that. We could pull in the account and the year-to-date revenue. And again, this will be matched to working together with every single other chart on here. So if I click on Florida, I can see that my revenue that's coming in from Florida is brought in from these two accounts. Georgia, I have these accounts. So that is really, you know, would bring me good information that I know which accounts are bringing in my revenue. Another way that you could actually do that if you didn't like to do it that way is we could create a drill down for this report. So if I have this report selected and over here under the Access, I could just bring in account underneath here, and you can see how I get a little yellow line underneath that. And that's going to bring in an account. Once I've done that, you can see I've got two new arrows in here that is called, that's going to be to, what we call drill down. So if I click to turn that on, it's now in drill down mode. And if I click on, say, Georgia, now it's going to just in the table, it's going to show me each one of the accounts that handle all that account for all that revenue in there, and then I can click up to drill back up, and the same with Florida. So you notice once we do the drill down, no longer are these related. It's not making changes over to here. So if you'd rather do it that way, that's certainly a way that you could do it too. All right, so I have got my reports created the way that I want them to look. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this report. And now when I'm publishing this report, it's going to save it as a PBIX file. And I've done this demo a couple of times, so I'm just going to replace the ones that I've done before, and it's going to save that out to my desktop here. And then when I go out to my web client, which we're going to do in a second, we'll see that I have a new report that's available to me. And then we're also going to have the ability to send this PBIX file to anyone that you would want to maybe manipulate it or make changes to it. It's going to be something that you could send over to them too. And hopefully it finishes up here in a second. Awesome. So now when I go back over into my Dynamics, you can see that I have that little yellow star by the community demo reports. So when that tells me that that is actually new. And then when I click on that, you can see that here are all the, oops, got an error. Here are all the reports, or two of the reports that we created that are available to us. And so now remember that this is a report, and so this is not something that we could pull right into Dynamics 365. We have one step that we need to go through first, and that is actually pinning this to a dashboard. So I'm going to create a new dashboard. And now you can see we've got a new demo or a new dashboard that we've created that has the visual that we just created. And so then now a last step that we're going to go to is we're going to go back into Dynamics 365. And let's go to our dashboards. And we're in our community demo dashboard. And let's edit this and add that last visual that we just created. So now you can see that we have another Power BI dashboard to pull from. And here is my my graphic I just created. So I can go ahead and add that in. I can save that. Close that out. And as we come back into our dashboards, we can see that that new graphic is pulled in for us. All right, so that is it for my demonstration. Kind of walked you through the Power BI web application, getting the content pack for Dynamics 365, and then how you can manipulate that with your Power BI desktop and pull all of that new information into your Dynamics 365 session. So with that, Karen, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Barb. Are you able to hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Yep, okay, and I'm going to share my desktop now. And let me know when you can see that, if you're able to see the browser. Are you able to see that okay, Barb?
I'm getting back over into...
Let's just see here.
I think it's still showing mine. Yep, and you are good to go.
You're able to see it? Okay, awesome,
yep.
Great. Well, the last piece here that we're going to show today is something called solution templates, and you can access them here on the Power BI site under solution templates. And I have one that was already created for sales management for Dynamics 365, and we also have a similar one for actually that was built for Salesforce and for other things as well. So what these are a way to really have an end-to-end Power BI solution for this, so more kind of an enterprise-ready data warehouse, if you will. And what I'm going to do is show you the pieces of it, what the reports look like out of the box, how to install it, what you need to have in place to set it up, and then a little bit about customizing it. So the goal of these is to get a customer kind of 50 to 70% of the way there to an enterprise analytics solution built on top of Power BI. And this will be specific a sales management scenario for Dynamics 365. And you saw Barb, she went through the content pack. The goal really of the content pack is to get a business user, up and productive with the data in minutes. The goal of the solution template is to get an IT pro up and running with kind of this end-to-end solution within hours. So we're trying to build sort of a content pack wrapper around setting up an enterprise solution. But obviously, it's going to take some IT pro skills to do this, and it takes a bit longer than just getting that content pack set up that goes pretty quickly. So first, let me just show you the reports that come with this. So I'm just going to do this in the web here so that you can take a look. There's really 5 reports that come out of the box with this. So if you were to set this up and connect it to your Dynamics data, these are the reports that you would see. So the first one here, again, it's all about sales management, revenue, won and lost, what opportunities are come up. You can see, you can play around here with the fiscal months, and if I change, it'll change the data down below. Report number 2 is all about sales performance, and one thing I wanted to show you is kind of these particular charts. You can interact with them. So if you scroll along, you can see, the trends and the actual numbers in that little box for the different years. So some pretty powerful stuff here. Let's see. chart number 3 here, this is looking at, where your opportunities are by sales stage and by pipeline owner. And again, and also by product. So again, as Barb showed you, if I click on something here, it's going to change everything else. So all of these graphs and tables and charts are related. So I can select specific things. I can look at a specific salesperson and see where they're at. And then I can also drill down into the products. So, my video conferencing looks like I've got great pipeline coverage there. I can scroll down and click on all of these. So again, very interactive. One specific thing I wanted to point out down here in the pipeline table is there's actually an opportunity link here. So if I had a dynamic CRM sitting behind this, I could click on this and actually go to that opportunity. And then last 2 reports, click to those here. Some more information on opportunity owners. And again, you're seeing pipeline gap and variance to quota information. And then a little bit more of a breakdown on the product side of things. So these are the 5 reports that come out of the box and with the solution template. And again, you can customize all of this, and we'll take a look at that in a little bit. So next, how do we install? And there's a little demo here that you can watch to review the reports as well. It's only a couple minutes long, but let's get into the installation piece. So a couple things I want to cover here. If you notice, there's 3 components here required. You've got your Dynamics 365, and you see the SQL Azure database sitting in between, and then Power BI. So the 3 components for this to work are you need obviously Dynamics, but you need a SQL Azure database. And you need to set that up, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then, of course, Power BI. Notice that you can set this up both online and on-premise. There are some different requirements for on-premise. We're not going to cover that today, but you can come back to the site and look at that. But for online, here's what you need. You need an Azure subscription, an Azure database. You need Power BI Desktop. Down here, you'll notice you want to have the December update. For Dynamics 365, you need to be an administrator. And one key thing here is a valid Azure subscription in the same tenant as your Dynamics 365. So really, if I come over here, I've got my Azure tenant set up. And notice that's in this MSP 843579 tenant. That's the same tenant that my Dynamics is set up in. So they have to be in the same tenant in order to install this and set that up. So that's a little key. So once you have all those 3 things, you'll go through 5 steps here to get this set up. But before you click next here, you do need to have your Azure subscription and database set up. And here's my Azure subscription. You can see I've got a SQL server. I set up a SQL database. Another requirement is you set up this key vault. And when I set these up, I went through the very basic steps of setting up this within Azure. It'll kind of take you through the steps, but I'm not going to walk through that today because of time constraints, but I just set up the very most basic SQL server, a basic database. I installed this key vault. One other thing I do want to mention is that I clicked and went into the database here. I need to make sure that I allow my client access to the database. Otherwise, my Power BI will not be able to, that's loaded on my desktop, will not be able to communicate with this database. So I went into the database, I clicked Set Server Firewall, and when I come in here, I had to click Add Client IP, and you'll notice this client IP down here, that's actually my client IP address, and I needed to set that up so that this would work. So those are kind of the prerequisites, or you need to have that set up beforehand. Then you can start down the path of going through these 5 steps. And if I click Next, the next thing that's going to happen is that Dynamics 365 is going to connect to that Azure subscription. description, so it'll ask me for some credentials. Then I'll have an option to do some customization. It'll run and then install the solution. So what happens when that install happens? So the first thing is that it's going to take data from Dynamics 365 and put it into your SQL Azure database, and then it's going to create a PBIX file, which is a Power BI file that you can access with your Power BI desktop, and we'll go ahead and do that here in a little bit, but it'll create that file with all the information and everything that's set up for this solution template. So let's see, we showed you all of that. So what happens? One thing, in order to get the data out of Dynamics into your SQL Server, you need to have the data export service set up in Dynamics. And if you don't have that set up, I'm coming over to my Dynamics tenant here. I can go into Settings, Dynamics Marketplace, and there's something called the Data Loader. Oops, where'd it go? So, I'm sorry, the data export service. So you could select, if I hadn't had this installed, I could select get it now. So this data export service is fairly new to Dynamics, but what it allows you to do is create an export job from Dynamics into SQL in our case. So I've installed that, and I can verify that it's installed if I go to my Dynamics 365 Admin Center. Here's my production instance. If I click on Applications, I can actually confirm here that my data export service is enabled. And then the other way to confirm that it's set up is if I go here back to my Dynamics 365 tenant, if I go into Settings, I'm going to see this data export option now. If the data export service is not there, you will not see that option. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And when it comes up here, you could see there's a job here. So this is the installation process for the solution template. Set up this job, and you could see the destination there was Azure SQL. And out of the box, it set itself up to sync all of these entities. So essentially what it's doing is taking the account, lead, opportunity tables from Dynamics and putting that in into SQL. So let me go actually show you. I've got SQL Server Management Studio here. So as you can see, you do need someone that has some SQL background. So you really do need an IT pro to be able to look at some of this stuff. But here's my my SQL database, my Azure DB Contoso database, and here's my Azure DB database. If I look here under tables, I can see here is my account table, and I'm just going to select the top 100 rows. And if you know Dynamics, you'll see, well, obviously there's a whole lot of columns, right, in this table that comes out of Dynamics. If I scroll over, and a lot of this information is null, there's no data in here. But here you go. I start getting to email address, etc. information. So I've got my account, I've got my lead, and my opportunity tables that came over right from my Dynamics 365 environment. Now, one thing that is done as a part of this solution template is the creation of some views. And again, this is done as part of the solution template. So when you're going through the install process, it's setting up these views for you. And what these views are doing is actually doing two things. One, renaming some of the fields that are hard to read out of Dynamics, like account name, things like that, as well as narrowing down some of the data. So what's going to happen is in Power BI, we're only going to pull the information from these views. We're not going to pull in the whole table. We're just going to pull in the information from these views. So if I just do a quick query here of the account view, And the account view relates to our account table. Oh, I need to, looks like I've got kind of an authentication issue going here. Let's see if that resolves itself. Come on, you can do it. While we're waiting for that, you'll see that this view is just selecting some of the columns from my table, my account table. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see if I can get this to connect. There we go. So you can see this is a scaled down version of the data that is in my full account table, and I've renamed some of the columns like account name, industry, etc. So they're a little bit easier to manipulate once I get in and view once I get into Power BI. So my job was created. I put the data into SQL, and now let's go over to Power BI. So here is I have this already open. I have the sales management report file already open in my Power BI desktop, and this is all of the configuration information and the data from my SQL database within Power BI. So now if you look at this, the first thing that happens when you come in the very first time is that you're going to need to edit your credentials to connect to your database. And I've already done this, but I will show you how to do that. I can go under Edit Queries and Data Source Settings, and here I can see, again, my server and database that I'm connected to. I could change this if I needed to, but if I go into Edit Permissions and Edit Credentials, here's my username and password. And again, the first time that I open this up, it's going to ask me and prompt me to edit credentials. So that's something you'll see here in the instructions page. But if I look at these other tabs, this should look very familiar, right? These are the same reports that we were looking at online. Now I have to say my data is not great here. I'm against kind of a demo Dynamics tenant, so I don't have as rich a data as you saw with those reports online, but you can see some of these coming up. And those are the 5 reports that we looked at. The other thing is you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, just like Barb was going, you can see the account information that was pulled over, right? It's a subset of the full account table. So this is based on the views that were created. Here's the lead information that was pulled over, the opportunity. So not all of the columns in the tables were pulled, but these were pulled from those views within SQL. And then there's some kind of special calculations set up. So some of this, how this was set up, what was pulled over, there's some additional training that will provide you access to where you can go into much deeper detail of what information was pulled in, and I don't really have time to do that today, but just know that, this is from the account table, but it's only a subset of the data. The other thing, you can actually look at the data. If you come over here on the left-hand side, so here I'm viewing my report, here I'm viewing the data from the leads table. I can click on account over here, and then it will bring in the data from account, so you can go in and view the data underneath. The other key component of what is built within this template is the relationships between the tables in Dynamics. And some of this happens within the content pack too that Barb talked about, but when you pull the data in, Power BI is smart enough to look at the different data and go, oh, there's a relationship between the dates table and opportunities and accounts. So it's smart enough to understand relationships, but you can also come in here and model different relationships. So lots of capabilities here. I'm not going to go into this in any more detail. But just understand that you can always come and view here and understand what is connected to what with your data that you're pulling in. So how can I customize this? So a couple things I can do. First of all, I'm going to right-click on this product tab here, and I'm going to say duplicate page. And notice it's going to be an exact copy of the product page. And because this is a duplicate, I'm going to remove here. I could actually remove some of the things I don't want, right? So I don't want already have these charts on a table, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Remove those. And then I can actually come up here. If you notice here, this is just a text box that has been inserted. So I can come up and actually edit the text and say new charts. And let me just change my font size here to 40. I hope that doesn't, let's go back down to 32. Okay, so some of these things, you notice I can edit on here. I could edit KPIs, I can edit this pipeline, I could remove this if I did not want it there anymore. Remove, and I can remove the, so all of these boxes here, you're able to change those as you need to. But notice if I click here, I'm not able to change like this Microsoft Dynamics 365 up here or the background. I'm trying to click on the background and nothing happens. Well, what's actually set up here is a page background. And this is something you can do. You could put a background in so that all of your charts have a different background. And what I'm going to do here, if I click on this format and then I go into page background, you see that there's actually a template that's been applied to this particular page. And I can change the transparency of it and the fit. But what I wanted to show you is this is actually a PNG file. So you can pull that in and have that show up as the background. And that carried over because I did a duplicate of the other page. So now I could do some of the same things that Barb did. I can go over here to account name, and I can click on that to add an account list. And then what else do I want to do? I want to add estimated value to that. So I'm seeing kind of the estimated value of the opportunities that are sitting out there for all my accounts.
So let's go down.
Is there a little background noise there? Are you still able to hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep,
we can hear
good.
you.
Okay, good. So again, as Barb showed, I can change that into a pie chart if I so desire. I can adjust this. I could change, let's see. I could change the border on it if I so desire. I could put a background color in there if I wanted to change how this looks. So a lot of capabilities to adjust what you're looking at here. Okay, so that's a little bit about that page. Now let's add another page here. And notice when I just added a page, my background did not come in. But let's say I wanted to add a different background. I could just come in here and add image. I can select any image. I'm going to have it fit the whole screen. I'm going to, again, adjust the transparency here so it kind of falls into the background. And then, so I've set my own page background. That's something you could do and adjust on all of those other reports if you so desire. I could also bring in a logo, for instance. So I'm going to bring this in as my logo. I'm going to adjust the size here a little bit, and I'm going to put it in the upper right-hand corner. And notice when I try to move this, this page, it'll kind of snap to the corner. So the background is kind of the boundaries of my actual page. So now let's add some more data here. I'm going to go into calculations, and I'm going to actually drag actual revenue over here. And then what else do I want? I think I want dates. So I'm going to drag date over there. So now I have my actual revenue by year. And notice there's these little buttons here. I could actually drill down within this to show my months, my quarters, or my year. And the reason I could do that is because the dates are broken down by day, my fiscal year and my months. So really nice capabilities to do some adjustments on that chart. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Yeah, I think that's it for that. Okay, so we have done a couple things here. We've added a couple additional reports. We've added a report with a custom background. Now, what if we want to add some additional data that did not come out of the box? So our account lead, our opportunity entities came, but we didn't get the contact entity that we want. So let's walk through the process to actually add that. So I could come back into my Dynamics 365 into my data export profile. I can select Manage Entities, and you see all the different Dynamics entities here. I can actually select Contact and select Update. And that's going to update my profile with the contact entity, and it's actually going to kick off. So there we go, it's been updated, and it's actually going to kick off the sync right then. So what's happening right now is it's like, oh, we've added this contact entity, I need to get that data over into my database. So I'm going to wait for that to refresh, and then I'm going to, and you can see it's in progress here, and hopefully it'll let me do a refresh here. Let's see if we can get that completed. There we go. So that actually completed. So the sync should have completed. So I'm going to come back over here. Notice I don't have the contact table here in my database, but let's do a quick refresh here. And let's take a look. And hopefully, there in my contact table. So it pulled my contact table in. Now, let me come back over here to Power BI. I still don't have that contact information here. And so what I'm going to do is actually, there's a couple different ways that you could import this in. What I'm going to do is actually import that table directly from the SQL database. And as I mentioned earlier, there were those views that were created. Right here, I'm going to go back to my SQL database. These views, you could set up a specific view to trim down the contact table and only import into your Power BI certain information. But since I don't have really time to do that, I'm just going to go back into Power BI. I'm going to actually import the full contact table into my Power BI template. So I'm going to, and let me just bear with me here 1 second. I want to get my server name, copy and paste that, and my database is Azure DB Contoso. I say OK, and it brings up my database. What do I want to bring in? Here's my new contact table. I can select that and select load, and it's pulling that information in and loading that data. Once that happens, then I can manipulate that. I know we're about 1 minute before the top of the hour. We're just going to go just a couple minutes extra here to be able to show you this. So if you could stay, I hope you can. If not, this will be recorded so you can view the last little bit of this. So now, you can see over here, my contact table was imported, and you can see all the various columns or fields in my table right here. And you can see again, that's it, those of you who know Dynamics, right? There's a lot of information in here. That's kind of what's nice about the SQL views is you can trim down this data. It makes it much easier to find. Like if I go into account, right, it's very trimmed down and maybe is only the specific information that I want to see. So now let's do a couple things here. Let's see. I'm going to now add combine information. Well, first of all, let's see what happened to my relationships. when I added that contact table. So notice here's the contact table. Notice it automatically created a relationship with my user table. So it kind of knew that user and contacts were related because contacts are owned by users in Dynamics 365. So it was smart enough to recognize that. So let's take a look at some of that data. I'm going to come actually in here to user, and I'm going to select full name, and it's going to list all of my users in the system. Then I'm going to go into my contacts here, if that will open up for me. Oops. Open and closed. And I know if I go all the way down here, this YOMI full name is actually the name of my contact. So again, that's a little bit hard to read. But you can see now I've got my list of users in Dynamics and then who the contacts are that they own. And maybe what I'll do with this is change this to count instead of name, so I can see that I have 29 contacts, Molly has 16. And then again, I can interact with this data. Let's see, let me go up here. The data in one table will show a change in another. So that's a little bit about bringing in additional data. So the last thing I wanted to show is, much like Barb, I was able to publish this out to the web, and I'm not going to republish it in the interest of time, but you can see you can view these reports out here on the web as well. So now let me just come back to our slides real quick, and then we'll wrap up. And Barb, if you could just let me know, are you able to see the slides now?
One second, it's still,
okay.
I think it's still refreshing.
Just wanted to come back to the slides. We've got, again, we will post these to our Yammer group, but we've got some great Power BI training resources for you. There's guided learning, documentations, a bunch of webinars and blogs, and kind of the partner showcase. You can see what other partners have created. Are you able to see these now, Barb?
I'm still not seeing it in the preview yet, so
okay.
I don't know if anyone on the...
Might be a little stubborn today. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So we've got two slides of training resources here. This is the second slide, and this is some get started steps for the content pack that Barb reviewed. And then down here are some resources regarding the solution template that I went through. And the part 1 and 2 are the in-depth training. If you're really interested in doing this, you can go to that. You can get all of the code, all of the SQL scripts, everything that to create this solution template on GitHub. And then there's also a great solution template community that you can go to for help. And I think that's it for today. So thanks everybody for joining. Again, we'll answer your questions as a follow-up on our Yammer group. And please let us know if there's anything else we can do for you. And thanks so much for joining today. Okay, we good? Is there?
I don't see the stop the stream. I don't have that option right now. Do you see that in yours still?
Yep. I'm going to end it right here.
Perfect.